Chapter 4. Family Christmas. The shrill beeping of the Instant Pot timer sliced through the warm, spice-filled air of the small vacation rental. The scent of slow-cooked chicken and dumplings, rich and savory, curled around Tanya as she hurriedly pulled her sweater over her head. Her fingers fumbled for a moment as she adjusted the hem, smoothing out the fabric before calling out, "Mario!" Her voice carried through the townhouse, urgent but not impatient. "Are you and the kids ready?" From the hallway, Mario's voice answered, slightly muffled but clear. "Yeah, I'm ready, and the kids should be headed to the front door to put on their coats and shoes." True to his word, all 5 of their children were already at the entrance, small fingers working to fasten buttons and zip jackets. The rhythmic thud of little feet against the hardwood floors filled the space as they bustled to get ready. Mario stepped out of the kids' bedroom, stretching his arms slightly as he walked toward the kitchen. His eyes lingered for a second on Tanya, who was now pulling her hair into a neat ponytail, dark strands slipping through her fingers as she worked with swift efficiency. Tanya barely glanced at him as she responded, "Okay, good. I'm checking the food real quick to make sure it's fully done." Steam hissed as she lifted the lid of the Instant Pot, the rich aroma intensifying as she stirred the dumplings, breaking up the tender chunks of chicken with a wooden spoon. Mario stepped forward, watching her work. "What do you need me to do, babe?" His voice was soft, willing. Without looking up, Tanya continued stirring. "I'm going to have you bring the food, and I'll take the kids over. Are you okay with that?" Mario moved closer, his body warming as he reached for her, his arms wrapping around her waist. He leaned in, aiming to press a kiss against her neck. But before his lips could make contact, Tanya turned sharply, her expression instantly cooling. No, we're not there yet," she said, her tone firm, edged with finality. Mario dropped his arms instantly, his hands hanging at his sides. He took a step back, his breath hitching slightly, gasping, his chest constricted, gasping. The weight of her firm words was staggering, gasping. The tone wasn't anger, gasping. It was cold, it was distant, and it left him grasping for air. He couldn't breathe. "I'm sorry," he stammered, the words barely audible. Tanya exhaled heavily, her shoulders rising and falling with the weight of unspoken emotions. She set down the spoon, carefully covering the pot before turning to face him. Mario stood there, his head slightly bowed, avoiding her gaze. With an eye roll and a reluctant sigh, she closed the space between them, pressing a brief kiss against his cheek. "We talked about this. We aren't in that space anymore." She walked past him without another glance, moving toward the kids. "All right, kiddos, let's get going," she announced, her tone light, unfazed. The door opened, a gust of crisp mountain air sneaking in as she ushered the children out. The door shut behind them with a quiet click, leaving Mario standing in the stillness of the townhouse. A thick and unyielding silence settled around him. He lifted his hand slowly to trace the ghost of her kiss on his cheek. It was a consolation prize that felt more like a reminder of what had been lost than any genuine affection. He stood like that for a long moment, without moving. Then with slow, measured steps, he approached the counter. He reached for a freezer bag, the plastic crinkling as he opened it. With care, he placed a serving spoon inside it to keep it clean. Lifting the Instant Pot, he cradled its warmth, the solid weight grounding him, a fleeting anchor in a moment where everything else felt unsteady. He made his way to the door. Outside, the short walk to his sister-in-law's unit felt longer than usual, the cold December air biting at his exposed skin. The glow of the Christmas lights along the path cast soft, colorful reflections on the icy pavement beneath his feet. Knock, knock, knock. He tapped on the door with his elbow, careful not to tip the hot container in his hands. The door swung open almost immediately, revealing Emily, his sister-in-law's beaming face. "Mario!" she squealed, her arms already reaching for a hug. Despite himself, Mario chuckled. "Emmy, hey, how have you been?" Emily's hands brushed against the Instant Pot as she embraced him, and she jumped back with a small yelp. "Phew, that's hot!" Mario grinned. "Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry." Emily waved him inside, still laughing. "No, it's my fault. Come on in." The warmth of the apartment enveloped him as he stepped inside. A symphony of delectable aromas hung thick in the air. It smells good in here, Mario stated. I know, right? Emily cheerfully replied. Emily carefully shut the door behind him. Mario skillfully removed his shoes while still holding the hot Instant Pot, then looked up and absorbed the atmosphere. A din of laughter and conversation filled the space, a mixture of adults chatting and kids excitedly playing video games. 13 people, 3 families. The vacation apartment was alive with movement and energy. Mario carried the Instant Pot to the kitchen, setting it down in the only available spot on the crowded counter. He turned and spotted Rick approaching with a broad smile. "What's up, man? How have you been?" Mario greeted, embracing Emily's husband in a firm hug. "Good. Good," Rick replied, clapping Mario's back with enthusiasm. Before Mario could say more, Sophia, his other sister-in-law, appeared beside him, her arms already outstretched. "Hey, Mario," she said warmly, pulling him in for a tight hug. He took a moment to glance around. The living room was packed, the 2 couches nearly overflowing with kids, their faces illuminated by the flashing images on the television screen. Troy, Sophia's husband, sat among them, watching the game with quiet amusement. Mario stepped over, extending a hand toward Troy. "How have you been, Troy?" Troy met his handshake with a firm grip, then pulled him into a quick hug. "I'm good, Mario. How about yourself?" Mario hesitated, his gaze drifting toward the dining table where Tanya sat, engaged in conversation with Sophia and Emily. He swallowed the lump in his throat. "Just trying to manage," he finally said, his voice carrying more weight than the simple words suggested. Troy nodded knowingly. "Man, I know the feeling. The holidays can be tough." Mario sank into the red cushioned chair in the corner of the room, the weight of the day pressing down on him. The joy of Christmas morning with the kids felt distant now, overshadowed by the constant reminder of the fractures in his marriage. From across the room, Tanya noticed. She stood without hesitation, grabbing her dining chair and carrying it over, placing it beside him before sitting down. Mario turned his head, surprised by her presence. "What's wrong?" she whispered, her brow furrowed with genuine concern. He looked down, shaking his head slowly. "Nothing," he murmured, not wanting to burden the holiday gathering with their personal struggles. Tanya exhaled softly, her expression unreadable. Without another word, she reached over and placed her hand on his back, rubbing gentle, slow circles. The unexpected tenderness of the gesture nearly undid him. Mario's shoulders relaxed under her touch. His eyes fluttered closed for a brief moment as he leaned forward, absorbing the quiet comfort of the moment. It had been so long since she had reached for him like this, without prompting, without obligation. Tanya leaned in, resting her head lightly against his shoulder. "I'm still here," she whispered, the words so soft that only he could hear them. For a few precious minutes, they remained like that, watching the kids play, listening to their laughter. It wasn't a resolution to their problems, but it was a moment of peace in the storm, a reminder that beneath the hurt and disappointment, there was still connection. Then Emily's voice cut through the moment. "Everything is almost ready." Tanya sat up, turning toward her sister. "Did anyone bring any kind of dinner rolls?" Emily asked, looking around at the assembled families. Sophia shook her head. "We didn't." Tanya thought for a moment before replying. "We have biscuits at our place, but they take about 20 minutes to bake." "Will that work?" "That works perfectly," Emily said with a nod, already rearranging dishes on the crowded countertop to make room. Mario straightened in his seat, looking at Tanya. "Do you want me to head back and make them?" he offered, eager to be useful, to contribute something positive to the day. Tanya considered it, then gave him a small smile. "Sure. Wait." She paused, glancing at him with something softer than before. "On second thought, I'll go do it." Her small smile was enough to tug at something deep within him, a flicker of the Tanya he once knew, and perhaps the Tanya he hoped to see again. "Really, it's no bother. I can do it," Mario replied longingly. Tanya's gaze held his, warm yet firm. "I know you can. You handled the cleaning and got the kids ready earlier, so you deserve some time to relax with everyone. I'll take care of this." Mario closed his eyes for a brief moment, letting the warmth of her words settle. A quiet breath of hope filled his lungs and he smiled, his gratitude evident in the softening of his expression. "Thanks," he said softly. the single word carrying the weight of everything he couldn't articulate. Tanya slipped on her shoes, heading toward the door. "I'll be right back," she called over her shoulder before stepping out into the cold Tennessee air. As the door closed behind her, Mario lingered in the chair, the warmth of her touch still resonating on his skin. A fragile reminder that while she had said they weren't there yet, there was still something worth holding on to, something worth fighting for. In the burst of noise and activity around him, the kids' laughter, the clinking of dishes, the murmur of adult conversation, Mario felt for the first time that day that he could breathe again. The pressure in his chest had eased, if only temporarily. He looked around at his extended family, at the joy and chaos of their Christmas gathering, and allowed himself to be present in the moment. Perhaps this was part of what the vows meant, for better or worse. Not just enduring the worst, but finding small moments of better, even in the darkest times. Finding reasons to keep going, keep trying, keep believing. Outside the window, snow had begun to fall, delicate flakes drifting past the glass. Mario watched them for a moment, mesmerized by their silent descent. Each one unique, fragile, and beautiful, like the moments that made up a life together, a marriage. And as he sat there, surrounded by family, waiting for Tanya to return, Mario held on to hope. Christmas, after all, was a season of miracles, and maybe, just maybe, they were due for one of their own.